The music had already been echoing through the practice room for hours when exhaustion finally began settling into everyone's bones. The mirrors reflected tired smiles, damp hair, and the familiar determination that had carried them through countless rehearsals over the years. Staff members moved quietly along the edges of the room, occasionally whispering Emenders while cameras captured snippets for future behind-the-scenes content. The atmosphere wasn't tense, but it carried the weight of perfection. Every movement mattered. Every detail would eventually become part of a memory treasured by millions. Taehyung wiped the sweat from his forehead with the sleeve of his oversized practice hoodie and let out a dramatic sigh. "I'm convinced my legs no longer belong to me," he announced. Stretching one foot forward before immediately losing his balance and grabbing the nearest chair. Laughter erupted around the room. "You've said that 3 times today," Jungkook replied, trying and failing to suppress his grin. Taehyung turned toward him with mock offense painted across his features. "And every single time, I've meant it." Jungkook shook his head. "You also said you could still do another 10 rounds. Confidence is important. You said it while lying on the floor." It was strategic confidence. The exchange earned another round of laughter from the others. For people watching from the outside, these moments would probably seem ordinary. A joke, a complaint, a playful argument between two people who had known each other for years. But those who truly paid attention understood there was something comforting in the ease between them. There was no performance in it. No careful planning. Only familiarity. Only understanding built through years of shared stages, sleepless flights, impossible schedules, and quiet conversations no cameras had captured. The music began again. Everyone returned to position. The choreography was difficult enough to demand complete focus. Jungkook inhaled slowly. 5, 6, 7, 8. The room transformed. Exhaustion disappeared beneath professionalism. Bodies moved with practiced precision. Feet struck the floor in perfect rhythm. Expressions sharpened. Taehyung moved beautifully. He always had. There was something effortless about the way he danced, not because it required no work, but because he poured emotion into every gesture. Even rehearsals looked like performances. Even practice carried sincerity. The sequence transitioned into one of the faster sections. A turn, a step, a shift, and then it happened. It was small. So small that someone glancing away for a second might have missed it entirely. Taehyung's foot caught against the floor. His center of gravity shifted. His body tilted backward. There wasn't time to think. No dramatic pause. No hesitation. Jungkook reacted instantly. One hand shot outward. Strong fingers found Taehyung's waist before gravity could complete its job. The movement was automatic. Instinctive. He steadied him as naturally as breathing. For one suspended heartbeat, the room seemed to freeze. Taehyung blinked. Jungkook stared back. "You okay?" Jungkook asked immediately. Concern replaced every trace of teasing. Taehyung glanced downward before looking up again. His cheeks flushed faintly. "I think my pride suffered more than anything." Relief swept across Jungkook's face so quickly that Taehyung almost laughed. "You scared me." The admission was soft, honest, unfiltered. Taehyung's teasing smile softened. "You caught me." Jungkook's hand remained at his waist for a second longer before he finally stepped back. "Of course I did." The simplicity of the answer settled warmly in Taehyung's chest. Of course. Not because cameras were present. Not because people expected kindness. But because that was who Jungkook had always been. Someone who paid attention. Someone who noticed. Someone who remembered. Practice resumed shortly afterward. Yet Taehyung found himself glancing toward Jungkook throughout the remaining choreography. Each time, Jungkook seemed unaware. Focused. Determined. Occasionally checking to ensure Taehyung hadn't actually hurt himself. It made Taehyung's heart feel strangely full. After rehearsal ended, everyone dispersed. Some headed toward refreshments. Others collapsed onto chairs. Staff reviewed footage. The atmosphere relaxed. Taehyung found Jungkook near the water station. "You know," Taehyung said thoughtfully, accepting a bottle handed to him. "That was very heroic." Jungkook nearly choked. "It wasn't heroic. It absolutely was. You tripped. You caught me. You would have been fine." Taehyung tilted his head. "But you didn't know that." Jungkook fell quiet. The younger man stared at the water bottle in his hands before answering. "I just didn't want you getting hurt." There it was again. That sincerity. Taehyung's expression softened. You worry about everyone. Not like that. The response arrived so quickly Jungkook seemed startled by his own honesty. Silence stretched between them, neither uncomfortable nor awkward, only filled with things difficult to explain. Taehyung looked away first. His smile was smaller now. Gentler. Then thank you. Jungkook finally met his eyes. You don't have to thank me. I know. Taehyung laughed quietly. But I want to. Outside the practice room windows, evening painted the sky in shades of gold and lavender. Years ago, they had been teenagers chasing impossible dreams. They had stumbled through uncertainty together. Celebrated victories together. Endured criticism together. Grown up beneath spotlights bright enough to reveal every flaw. Somehow, through changing seasons and endless expectations, they had preserved something precious. Trust. The kind built slowly. The kind strengthened through consistency rather than grand declarations. Taehyung watched Jungkook helping staff move equipment moments later. Without being asked. Without expecting praise. Just helping. A familiar warmth settled in his chest. Sometimes love wasn't dramatic. Sometimes it wasn't spoken beneath fireworks or immortalized through poetic confessions. Sometimes it existed in smaller moments. In remembered preferences. In shared meals after exhausting schedules. In asking if someone had eaten. In waiting when they walked too slowly. In catching someone before they fell. Jungkook glanced over. What? You really don't realize it, do you? Realize what? Taehyung smiled. Nothing. Jungkook narrowed his eyes suspiciously. You've got that expression. What expression? The one before you become impossible. Taehyung gasped theatrically. Impossible. Me. Absolutely. Laughter escaped them both. The exhaustion remained. Muscles still ached. Tomorrow would bring another schedule. Another rehearsal. Another performance. But for now, the practice room echoed with something lighter. Something safe. Taehyung looked toward Jungkook and thought about the hand that had reached for him without hesitation. The immediate concern. The quiet reassurance. The certainty behind those three simple words. Of course I did. Perhaps that was why people cherished moments like these so deeply. Not because they proved anything extraordinary. But because they reflected ordinary devotion. Care expressed through instinct. Affection revealed through action. The promise that if world tilted unexpectedly beneath your feet, someone would reach out without thinking twice. Jungkook tossed him another water bottle. You looked like you were daydreaming again. Taehyung caught it easily. What if I was? Then stop before you trip over absolutely nothing this time. Taehyung burst into laughter. You'll catch me anyway. Jungkook froze for half a second before rolling his eyes. You're unbelievable. But will you? A pause. Then the corners of Jungkook's lips lifted into a reluctant smile. Yeah. Taehyung's answering grin illuminated the room brighter than the overhead lights ever could. I know. And perhaps that certainty, the unwavering belief that someone would be there when it mattered, was the most beautiful choreography of all.